Hey there Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to another video. And if you are new here, my name is Hannah. I am an astrologer and I make videos all about astrology. Okay, so in today's video we're going to be talking about the asteroid Ceres in the birth chart. So looking at the mythology of Ceres and its function within your birth chart, followed by Ceres through the signs. Also, I just want to show some appreciation to the authors of this book, Asteroid Goddesses. So Demetra George and Douglas Bloch. I could be pronouncing those names incorrectly. I apologize if I am. Because thanks to their work, I've been able to learn more about the asteroids in the natal chart. And I definitely do recommend this book. It is a great read. So before we do dive into today's video, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button and click the bell. And if you are interested in a personal reading from myself, then you can visit my website, hannahselsewhere.com. There you can also find my practical astrology ebooks and merch. All the links will be in the description box below. I do hope that you find this video to be helpful today. I think it is going to be pretty long. Let's do this. Alright, so firstly, let's look at the mythology of Ceres. So in Greek mythology, Ceres is referred to as the Greek goddess Demeter. But in Roman mythology, she is the Roman goddess Ceres. Now, I made a video years ago about the Greek mythology of the sign of Virgo and how the story of Demeter and her daughter Persephone are tied to Virgo, okay? And when we go through the function of Ceres in your chart, perhaps you'll be able to spot some parallels between Ceres and Virgo. Still, this story I'm going to share today about Demeter and Persephone is also linked to the very mythology of Ceres. So basically, Demeter / Ceres, I'm just going to say Ceres throughout the rest of the video to make it easier. Well, she was the goddess of agriculture, harvest, and fertility. She was the earth's mother, the great mother. And thanks to Ceres, humanity could eat. She even had a crown made of corn and wheat. Ceres then had a daughter named Persephone, and together they helped the earth thrive. However, as Persephone was in the fields, the ground opened up and Pluto, aka Hades, Pluto came up from the underworld, the place in which he ruled, and he seized Persephone on his chariot, which was being pulled by black horses. And he took Persephone down into the depths of hell, down into the underworld, and he demanded that she be his bride. After returning to the fields, Ceres could not find her daughter. She was panicked, as she would be, and she searched everywhere for her daughter. Sickened with grief, she couldn't even eat or bathe herself for 9 days and nights. And on the 10th day, Ceres spoke with goddess Hygit. Again, sorry about incorrect pronunciations here, but yes. She spoke with goddess Hygit, who suggested Ceres speak with sun god Helios. Helios shared this tragic news about Persephone and stated that Jupiter, aka Zeus, allowed the abduction to happen. Pluto and Jupiter, they were actually brothers, by the way. Instantly, Ceres went into a rage. Okay, understandably so. She left Mount Olympus, sought refuge in a different town, and she made sure that mankind had the worst year. Oh yeah, she destroyed the crops and all the fruit rotted. The way Ceres saw it, if she suffered, then everyone else will suffer. Naturally, Jupiter freaked out because everyone was dying. But no matter how much the gods tried to get Ceres to stop, she refused. So Jupiter told Mercury, aka Hermes, to go down to Pluto and tell Pluto to release Persephone. Now, Pluto agreed, but seeing as he is the lord of the underworld, Pluto actually tricked Persephone. He tempted her to some pomegranate seeds, but these seeds symbolized sexual consummation. The very words, of course, used by Demetra George, used in her book. Therefore, by eating the pomegranate seeds, Persephone consented to be bounded to Pluto. After returning to Earth, Ceres was still outraged over Pluto's trickery, but Jupiter stepped in and demanded that they reached a compromise. How thoughtful of him, considering he did agree to her abduction. Anyway, still, the agreement ended up being Persephone would go down to the underworld during some time of the year, and during another time of the year, she would return to the light. And I suppose it's this process that represents the changing of seasons. So during the spring and summer months, the earth flourishes and the plants grow. So I suppose in this way, perhaps this is when Persephone rules the light. But during the autumn and winter months, the flowers die. And maybe what this is suggesting is that during these months, Persephone rules the underworld. And it does remind me of this video that I watched when I was younger. It's titled The Goddess of Spring. It's by Disney. It was made in 1934. It was created in 1934, and it shows quite the similar story to the one that I have shared today. Well, there are differences in the video, but give it a watch if you're interested to kind of see the parallels between this story and that video. But yeah, that is the mythology of Ceres, everyone. So quick side note here before we do get into what this mythology suggests in terms of its function within your natal chart. What also sprung to my mind is the movie Silent Hill. So in the movie Silent Hill, the whole point of it is that a mother's adopted daughter, she runs away. And so they go to this place, Silent Hill. Well, the mother takes her to Silent Hill because she's having all of these visions to do with this place. But her daughter runs away when they get there, and so the mother is searching all over the place for her daughter. And so I kind of see that connection then with this mythology. You know, it's just this whole it's this whole story of a mother fighting for her daughter, fighting for her young. So what does this mythology of Ceres tell us about the asteroid's function within your natal chart? Well, similar to the moon in our charts, Ceres indicates how we were nurtured, how we were parented. It's connected with maternal instinct. And there is also a correlation between Ceres and both fertility and pregnancy. Like I said, Ceres was the goddess of fertility. And so Ceres in your chart can point toward things like conception, fertility, and giving birth. Likewise, it can indicate the ways in which you parent or nurture your children, as well as how you were parented yourself. So how were you mothered or nurtured growing up, whether that be by your mother, your father, your grandparents, uncles, aunties, step-parents, foster parents? This asteroid can show us how we experience these older people who were supposed to help us develop into young and able adults. Did you feel warmth, security, and love? Or were you abandoned, rejected, or criticized? Were you fed properly, or did you grow up with issues surrounding food? Though following on from this point, Ceres was also the goddess of harvest. So she was the reason that humanity ate. Meaning, Ceres in your chart can indicate how you were fed, how you were provided for. Even thinking about breastfeeding, were you breastfed? Overall though, Ceres represents nourishment in your chart, but also how you nourish yourself. We aren't joined at our mother's hip for the rest of our lives. I suppose some people are. But still, there comes a time when we must provide for ourselves. Then again, some people are coddled, sheltered, and possibly controlled by their parents. Perhaps the love you received from your mother or nurturing figure was unconditional, or did it come with a number of strings attached? And when it came to things like relationships, starting school, choosing your career, and fleeing the nest, how did your parents react, for example? I mean, did they rejoice and celebrate? Were they happy for you? Did you feel supported? Or did they try to have a say in the decisions you wanted to make? Maybe they were distant, strict, and cold, or maybe they were involved and they wanted to help. Then again, perhaps they were too involved. And this right here is what really separates Ceres from the moon. And it's the part of Ceres that represents attachment and separation, loss and death. Both the moon and Ceres point toward nurturing in our charts and even thinking about emotional security in this way as well. But the complete devastation of loss and separation can be found when looking at Ceres. Think about the grief that Ceres felt when she realized her beautiful daughter was lost, or even when she realized she was taken, though at the beginning she just thought she was lost. So she didn't know where she was for 9 whole days. 9 whole days. I mean, can you imagine how you would feel if that were your daughter, if you have a daughter? Could you put yourself into the shoes of someone who has a daughter and just how tragic that would be? She couldn't eat, she couldn't bathe, she was paralyzed. Therefore, Ceres can point toward loss, even thinking about parents who lose their babies due to the most heartbreaking reasons. Or women who experience miscarriages, or they realize that they physically can't conceive, even though they so long to be a mother. That can be a very, very difficult and challenging thing to accept. But then also consider how we separate ourselves from our nurturing figures, from our parents, or think about those who have lost their parents due to death, or those who have been abandoned or rejected by their parents. All of these very emotionally challenging and stressful themes. And psychologically speaking, Ceres is tied to our self-esteem and our self-worth because how we were nurtured impacts our inner security. The love we experienced or didn't experience can influence the love that we have for ourselves, as well as the love that we show others. And so in this way, Ceres can show how our mothering experiences also impact our relationships. Are you able to emotionally support partners and friends, for example? Or do you reject any type of nurturance from them? And so when looking at Ceres, consider how much you fill your own cup, but also how often you share. Think about how you were parented and how that might impact your relationships, and also how that can impact the way you show love toward yourself. How accepting are you of yourself? Do you nourish yourself? Do you take time to really look after yourself? And this right here leads me on to the last thing that I want to mention, which is to do with the sign of Virgo. And this is how Ceres is associated with nutrition, work, and also efficiency. All very much Virgo themes. See, it's also our nurturing figures who teach us how to look after our health. They show concern for our health and they must make sure we are healthy. And so Ceres can indicate how we nourish our body and how we sustain good health. And by looking after ourselves, we can also function better. We can work well, we can get our tasks done, but at the same time, working too much, overdoing things, well, these things can't be healthy either. Meaning Ceres can also signify possible productivity issues or health concerns. Now, before we do get into the Ceres signs, remember the ruling planet or planets of the sign your Ceres is in. So for instance, if your Ceres is in Gemini, look for Mercury in your chart. If it's in Libra, look for Venus in your chart. The placement of your ruling planet or planets will give you more information about your Ceres placement. And also make sure to consider any aspects being made to Ceres. And I suppose this goes without saying, but remember things like transits, secondary progressions, and so on, because these things will show you how things can change and progress and develop over time. And if you want to learn more about your partner, make sure to look at the synastry between you and also look at your composite chart. Basically, find Ceres in your partner's chart. And by the way, you're looking for this glyph right here in the natal chart. You do need to select Ceres from the additional object section on astro.com. All right, so let's get into the signs. So I do also want to add that I'll be saying your children and if you're a parent within these explanations, but these descriptions can also apply to nieces and nephews, for example, or if you're a foster parent or a grandparent. Ceres in Aries. Growing up, your independence and personal goals were nurtured. There was a push to be self-sufficient, and in turn, you nurture others by encouraging them to be independent as well. You want to help your loved ones strengthen their own autonomy. You'll want to see them achieve their goals. However, if you were expected to stand on your own 2 feet too soon, you can experience issues surrounding attachment and separation, such as pushing others away or creating unnecessary arguments. Still, you feel loved and valued when you are able to assert yourself, when your self-assertion and your leadership are nurtured. And if you're a parent, you'll most likely nurture the freedom and the individuality of your children. Ceres in Taurus. Growing up, your stability and talents were nurtured. You were provided for, and in turn, you nurture others by supporting and providing for them as well. You want your loved ones to feel safe and secure, and you'll do this in tangible ways. You'll support your loved ones' skills and talents. However, if your materials and your physical security were threatened, or if there was an overemphasis on accumulating possessions, you can experience issues surrounding attachment and separation, such as a lack of self-worth and inner security, or being greedy. Still, you feel loved and valued when your values and pleasures are nurtured. And if you're a parent, you'll most likely nurture the talents and the livelihood of your children. Ceres in Gemini. Growing up, your speech and communication were nurtured. You were listened to, and in turn, you nurture others by educating, talking, and listening to them as well. You want your loved ones to share interesting new information, much like you communicate your knowledge. You'll support your loved ones' studies and you'll encourage them to keep you posted on things. However, if you didn't feel heard or if you experienced learning implications, you can experience issues surrounding attachment and separation, such as feeling stupid or trying to be intellectually superior. Still, you feel loved and valued when your intellect and speech are nurtured. And if you're a parent, you'll most likely nurture the curiosity and the smarts of your children. Ceres in Cancer. Growing up, your emotions and your needs were nurtured. You were mothered and comforted, and in turn, you nurture others by caring for them in emotional and physical ways. You want your loved ones to be protected and to feel loved. You'll be an admirable caregiver and you'll support your loved ones by attending to their needs. However, if nurturance was denied or if you were smothered, you can experience issues surrounding attachment and separation, such as being super needy and clingy or lashing out. Still, you feel loved and valued when your comforts and emotional security are nurtured. And if you're a parent, you'll most likely nurture the moods and the domestic life of your children. Ceres in Leo. Growing up, your self-expression and creativity were nurtured. You were taught to be confident within yourself, and in turn, you nurture others by cheering them on and instilling confidence in them as well. You want your loved ones to accept themselves and to be proud of who they are. You'll pay attention to their creations. However, if you were not accepted or if you were ignored and overlooked, you can experience issues surrounding attachment and separation, such as a lack of confidence or overcompensating by trying to impress. Still, you feel loved and valued when your ego and character are nurtured. And if you're a parent, you'll most likely nurture the creativity and the enthusiasm of your children. Ceres in Virgo. Growing up, your helpfulness and competence were nurtured. You were taught how to do things well and correctly, and in turn, you nurture others by helping them improve. You teach them how to do things correctly as well. You want your loved ones to establish a routine, a healthy routine, and to be prepared for everyday life. You'll want them to practice their skills. However, if you were heavily criticized or if you were pressured to live up to unreasonable expectations, you can experience issues surrounding attachment and separation, such as health concerns or being obsessed with perfection. Still, you feel loved and valued when your service and dedication are nurtured. And if you're a parent, you'll most likely nurture the cleanliness and the health of your children. Ceres in Libra. Growing up, your ability to share and cooperate were nurtured. You were taught to interact harmoniously with people, and in turn, you nurture others by conducting yourself well and by being a team player. You want your loved ones to feel secure in social situations and for them to get along. You'll appreciate their beauty. However, if you experienced imbalances regarding giving versus receiving, you can experience then these issues surrounding attachment and separation, such as giving too much as a need for self-acceptance or being highly uncooperative. Still, you feel loved and valued when your fairness and your social grace are nurtured. And if you're a parent, you'll most likely nurture the good manners and teamwork of your children. Ceres in Scorpio. Growing up, your emotional intensities and insights were nurtured. You felt an intimate bond, and in turn, you nurture others by being committed and by supporting them through their own emotional intensities as well. You want your loved ones to overcome any difficult emotions, and you can act as a catalyst for change, so a catalyst for their transformations and growth. You're a great source of healing. However, if you grew up in a dangerous environment or if you felt isolated, you can experience issues surrounding attachment and separation, such as jealousy and being resentful, or attempting to manipulate and control others. Still, you feel loved and valued when your emotional bonds and passions are nurtured. And if you're a parent, you'll most likely nurture the depth and insights of your children. Ceres in Sagittarius. Growing up, your aspirations and your ability to expand were nurtured. You felt like you had the freedom to explore, and in turn, you nurture others by believing in them and urging them to expand as well. You want your loved ones to figure out and follow their higher meaning. You'll lift them up whenever they're feeling down, and you'll support their philosophies and their beliefs. However, if your wings were clipped and you couldn't broaden your horizons, you can experience issues surrounding attachment and separation, such as believing your life is meaningless or feeling directionless. Though still, you do feel loved and valued when your freedom and vision are nurtured. And if you're a parent, you'll most likely nurture the inspirations and the beliefs of your children. Ceres in Capricorn. Growing up, your accomplishments and your ability to be responsible were nurtured. You were recognized whenever you accomplished your goals, and in turn, you nurture others by recognizing their successes and by providing them with practical tools. You want your loved ones to organize their time and to perform their plans. You'll encourage them to overcome any hardships they face. However, if the love you received was based on how well you could perform, you can experience issues surrounding attachment and separation, such as being too strict or using status to impress. Still, you feel loved and valued whenever your self-discipline and hard work are nurtured. And if you're a parent, you'll nurture the accomplishments and the dedication of your children. Ceres in Aquarius. Growing up, your individuality and your eccentricities were nurtured. You were encouraged to march to the beat of your own drum, and in turn, you nurture the uniqueness of others. You want your loved ones to challenge authority and not feel like they have to follow the status quo. You'll remind them to embrace their independence. However, if you lacked rules and boundaries, or if you had freedom too soon, you can experience issues surrounding attachment and separation, such as feeling disconnected from others or being rebellious just for the sake of it. Still, you feel loved and valued when your individuality and your quirks are nurtured. And if you're a parent, you'll most likely nurture the innovations and the creativity of your children. And lastly, Ceres in Pisces. Growing up, your gentleness, your kindness, and your sensitivities were nurtured. You were treated with compassion, and in turn, you nurture others by being compassionate as well. You can be empathetic of other people's paths, their struggles, their needs. You want your loved ones to have faith in themselves and to experience unconditional love. You strongly dislike seeing them suffer. You'll give to them without expecting anything in return. However, if your emotions were manipulated or if you weren't reassured, you can experience issues surrounding attachment and separation, such as feeling helpless or abandoned, so helpless and abandoned or isolating yourself. Still, you feel loved and valued when your spiritual connections and your dreams are nurtured. And if you're a parent, you'll most likely nurture the emotions and the intuition of your children. All right, Cosmic Warriors, so that concludes my video on Ceres. Do please let me know if you find this video to be helpful today. What is your Ceres sign? Did you resonate? Did you learn something new today? I would really appreciate all of your feedback, and as always, let me know your thoughts and your opinions in the comment section down below as well. But with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And of course, if you would like to see more videos from myself and you have not yet subscribed, then make sure that you click that subscribe button and also give this video a like if you did like it today. And I will be back with another video very, very soon. Bye.